Content warning. The following article contains spoilers for the Sandman comics and discussions of suicide. The highly anticipated Netflix adaptation of Neil Gaiman's award-winning comic book series, Sandman, premiered to critical acclaim, in large part thanks to its faithful depiction of well-written storylines and iconic characters. One of the characters introduced on the show is Death, a fan-favorite member of the Endless whose job is exactly what fans may expect. Despite the macabre nature of her work, Death has a surprisingly cheerful and optimistic attitude, often reminding her siblings like Dream that humanity is special, and even the smallest things can be magical. There's no shortage of unforgettable moments from the comics that underscore Death's unique personality and positive outlook. Her time as Dee Dee, The High Cost of Living, an underrated spin-off of the popular Vertigo comics, delves into fascinating detail about Death's existence. It's said that once every 100 years, she takes a mortal form and lives with the humans for a day. She makes the most of her time as Dee Dee during one of these visits and even manages to hang out with a despondent teenager named Sexton. Their last few minutes spent together highlight Death's enduring optimism, as despite being kidnapped and hurt by someone obsessed with her, she chooses to see her time as a mortal in a positive light. Her explanation to Sexton about how the good and bad things make life what it is provides some insight into how she manages to stay cheerful. Showing Dream her job. Issue number 8, The Sound of Her Wings. Often considered one of the best storylines from the Sandman comics, The Sound of Her Wings was recently depicted on the Netflix series. It's the first time she's ever introduced in both the comics and the show, and Death makes quite an entrance. Aside from introducing the character, the moment in the comics where she reminds Dream he can always turn to her for help emphasizes their relationship as endless siblings. She clearly cares for her brother, so much so that she takes him along as she goes from one appointment to another. Giving Element Girl advice. Issue number 20, Facade. As she mentions in the Netflix series, there are some exceptions or persons who are immune to Death and her abilities. This doesn't mean she can't help them, though. This is exactly what happens when she hears Rainey, better known as Element Girl, crying. Rainey has tried and failed to die by suicide multiple times, as her powers make it impossible to truly pass away. Death explains that since that ability comes from the sun god Ra, she can't personally take Rainey's life. Death's compassion and brilliance are both underscored by what happens next, as she teaches Rainey exactly how to communicate with the sun god to let Ra know that she no longer wishes to be alive. Convincing Dream to rescue Nada. Issue number 21, A Prologue. Death may be kind-hearted, but she doesn't mince words and isn't afraid to speak up when she knows something is wrong. This part of her personality is shown when Dream complains to her about Desire making fun of the way he sent Nada to hell. Since Death knows Nada died by suicide after her city burned because of her forbidden relationship with Dream, Death doesn't hesitate to let her brother know that what he did was disgusting and that Desire was right to bring it up. It's arguably her words that motivate Dream to rescue Nada from the prison he condemned her to. Taking Nordenai. Issue number 31, 3 Septembers and a January. The Endless may be some of the strongest characters in Sandman's universe, but the younger ones like Desire and Despair still question the extent of their power when compared to their older siblings. When Dream engages in one game, he proves just how much stronger his abilities are compared to theirs, but more importantly, how powerful Death is compared to all of them. When the victim of their game, Nordinai, finally dies, it's not Dream's manipulation or Despair's attempts at reaching him that last. In the end, death comes for everyone, and she does it with grace and kindness, even letting Nordinai know that he's the favorite emperor she's had the pleasure of accompanying to the afterlife. Her protectiveness over delirium, issue number 46, Grief Lies. Death has a soft spot for Dream, but that doesn't mean she doesn't care about her other siblings. After Dream rudely abandons Delirium during their quest to find destruction, Death calls him out for unfairly taking out his anger on her. Even though Dream doesn't ever admit it, Death kisses his cheek and knows she's right. She knows everyone much better than they even know themselves, at times, and Dream is no exception. As usual, Death's intervention is what inspires Dream to do the right thing. It's hard to imagine what his life would be like without her. Her discussion with Destruction, issue number 48, Grief Lies. When Dream and Delirium finally manage to track down the prodigal sibling, Destruction, Dream asks him why he left. Instead of a direct answer, Destruction references a philosophical discussion he had with Death, which showcases her intelligence. Death tells him that not only could they know everything, but they do, as the Endless, they just tell themselves they don't to make it all bearable. It's a profound statement that highlights Death's understanding and acceptance of her place in the universe, which is something her siblings continue to struggle with. Saving Prez, issue number 54, The Golden Boy. Prez Rickard is one of the most likable characters from the Sandman comics, and even Death agrees that's true. After a life full of achievements as the youngest president ever elected, Prez dies without ever wavering to Boss Smiley's bribery and manipulation. This is why Death is somewhat disappointed to have to lead him to a version of heaven where Boss Smiley rules. As expected, she doesn't sit idly by. Death often goes above and beyond when doing her job, as she doesn't have a heartless approach to her duties like some of her siblings do. This is why she gets Dream to help Prez out of the dire situation, which shows that Death will go out of her way for those who truly deserve it. Her final gift to Dream, issue number 69, The Kindly Ones. The moment she appears on the Netflix show, Sandman comic book fans already know what the future has in store for Death and Dream. Just like she is with everyone else, Death is there for Dream in the bitter end, as the Kindly Ones wreak havoc in the dreaming around them. While she berates him at first for choosing this path rather than just walking out as Destruction did, the panel that follows highlights her empathy and understanding of her sibling. She knows Dream just as much or even better than he knows himself, so she realizes it was always going to come to that moment. After her brother admits he's tired, she offers him a final gift by asking him to take her hand, no matter how painful that must have been for her. A profound conversation with Hob Gadling, issue number 73, Epilogue, Sunday morning. Dream may have made preparations for his inevitable demise, but he didn't fix all the loose ends. It's heartwarming to see Death visit Hob Gadling and inform him that Dream had, in fact, died. More than just a social call, she continues the tradition that Dream had with the man and asks if he's ready to die yet. They have a profound conversation where Hob shares his unique perspective on death, while trying to get her opinion in the process. As usual, Death's responses are vague, as they always are. She never really confirms what happens in the Sunless Lands, she only tries her best to be a source of comfort and compassion when it's time to take people there. For Hob's case, it'll take a little longer. My heart returns.
do. You